Hi everyone, Nick from 135 Tennis Analytics here. Welcome to a new series of videos on data analytics in tennis for junior players, parents and coaches. This video we're going to be looking at the stats that don't matter. In future videos we'll come up with alternatives and solutions to the problem of stats that don't matter and how we can help our juniors develop over time. Okay, so let's put these stats that don't matter into three categories and I'll explain them as we go along. The first is big data. The second one is bad data, or more importantly, bad data that could be mixed with good data. And the third one is all about point-ending data. What do we mean by big data? This is where we get a whole group of stats across a whole group of players, whether it's the million points of college tennis or in pro tennis, 0 to 4 rally length is 70% of tennis. We get all this data and we lump it all together. And the problem is it's really shallow analysis because yes, it's correct to say that 0 to 4 is 70% of tennis, but what it leaves out is any context. So for example, score context. Most common time on a percentage basis to see a longer rally in professional tennis is at scores like 30-40, scores like advantage receiver. Both players are desperate, therefore they'll play more conservatively, therefore they're keeping the ball in the court. I watch a lot of junior tennis. In fact, in a lot of circles, I'm known as the guy who watches more junior tennis than anybody else in the world. And what I'm seeing is that there are a lot of players, a lot of junior players out there who are too desperate to finish in that shorter rally length without actually knowing the context of what they're trying to achieve. So I see a lot of errors between 0 to 4 because that's kind of the narrative we're giving them, that pro tennis is 0 to 4, without giving them the context of when these things happen. The other problem with big data is that it doesn't take account of how an individual plays. Now, let's put this into a business context. If I was a business analyst and I said across 1,000 different companies, this is the profit margin that is made. What does that mean for the local flower shop down the road versus the big pharmaceutical company? Nothing. You've got to account for the individual. Again, it's not wrong to say that 0 to 4 is 70% of tennis. It's just very shallow analysis and doesn't help the individual. Can actually be detrimental because they're all trying to finish in those early rally lengths, as I said before. So category number 2, bad data, or more importantly, good data that can be mixed with bad data, which just creates an incorrect view of what's going on. So good data, for example, might be something like first serve percentage. We need to know broadly what a player's first serve percentage is, match by match and over time. But what about percentage 1 on first serve? So the first question is, what's that trying to measure? What it's trying to measure is whether your first serve is effective or not. Now, if you serve an ace, then that's an effective first serve. Yes, that's a 0.1 because of your first serve. But what about if your first serve goes in and when the return is really good, the server plays the next shot and then the returner who set up the point and they smash the big forehand mid-court into the net. Server wins the point. It's a 0.1 on first serve. But it's not a 0.1 because of their first serve. So if at any time when a player's first serve goes in and the opponent makes an error, that shouldn't go anywhere near that data set, because it's not a 0.1 because of first serve. You've got all this data in that data set that doesn't matter. Now, there's a bigger problem with this one, and that is at the pro level, they have more effective first serves. At the junior level, their first serves are less effective. So to teach them that your first serve was supposedly effective because look at your points won on first serve in this match is actually not a good way of showing a junior player how effective their first serve is. So let's put that one to the business test. If I'm the business analyst and I'm looking at a data set that is trying to show me the effectiveness of something within a business, I don't want all this data, this bad data mixed in there, which is not actually giving me the clear picture. I want data that says, this is what's going on. This is how effective it is and why. Rather than mixing in this other data, maybe 30-odd%, which is a big number, that is not giving us that clear picture. It's not measuring what we're trying to measure. And particularly if we revert to the junior player, particularly at the junior level, it's even worse. So category number 3 is the point ending data. And this is what you'll see all over TV coverage when you're watching pro tennis on the TV. It's this idea that the most important stats or analytics in tennis are all about what happens at the end of the point. So the 3 things that they'll give you are Novak hit a forehand winner. Okay, and it'll show the number of forehand winners that the player has hit during a match. And there's no context to that is the big problem for the junior player. How did the player get to that forehand winner? So to put our point ending category into our business metaphor, if I'm a business owner and all I'm concerned about is the profit that I make at the end of the process, rather than what happens at the beginning, what happens in the middle, and then the profit I make from it at the end, I'm probably not going to be in business very long. You've got to have context. You've got to have a starting point, you've got to have a middle, and you've got to have an end. So are these 3 issues of big data, bad data, and point ending data, are they solvable? The answer is yes, they are, and that'll be the subject of an upcoming video. If you have any questions at all, you can contact us through our website.